おでんは低カロリーでパワー不足。あえなく失敗に終わったが。
Actually, Oden really doesn't have that many calories to it, so you're not really gonna get much out of it. This week, unfortunately, didn't open with Diet S recap and more of a traditional one, but hey, at least we got some nice music, and Sora actually showing off a little ego rather than just being the squeaky clean hero she's been this whole time. Said recap actually went over most of the series so far, especially in regards to Mashiro. Okay, so am I the only one who detected just a slight tinge of yandere in that laugh? It certainly didn't help when our lead here followed her all the way to school. A legit hilarious bit, mostly again thanks to Mashiro's reactions as they got to the school. Please don't start getting political. But yeah, a rather believable moment of culture shock, even if this character is from a fantasy land, and does seem to hint at some of the social structures of said kingdom. With that, Sora went back to Mashiro's home, and for the most part kept productive both by cleaning, as well as her own personal pursuits like studying Japanese and training. She certainly does a lot more than the King of Needs here. And she managed to get all of this done by 11:30. Good lord, girl, switch to decaf. She then tried to do something for Yo-Yo, and sure enough, she did need help with her supposed portal spell, though I'm not completely convinced. Yeah, Sora, I'm pretty sure you're grinding wax fruits. Whatever, it did lead to a nice moment where Sora apologized for her outburst from the previous episode. A good display of character from her, and I always do appreciate some good continuity. However, while admitting to her mistakes were easy enough, being honest about her loneliness was a whole different animal. Thus, Yo-Yo sent her off to do some shopping while she made a few calls. Yes, are you still looking for a strong hitman? Because I know a girl who can split rocks. The next scene was probably my favorite bit of the episode, as the two cures paralleled each other by both trying to call out to the other who wasn't there. Fairly subtle and yet very effective storytelling here. In fact, the writing this episode has been really solid all around, so I wonder who wrote this one, Oh. Okay, so I'll admit, Konomi Shugo has improved her writing since the days of Tropical Rouge, and I think I know why, but we'll get more into that at the closing thoughts. For now, all I'll say is I'm pretty sure that's just a regular shopping list, unless portals require lithium batteries. And hi, Ageha. Well, I see someone's a fan of the Bullet Club. Or Geats. You know, I'm starting to realize a lot of people like doing this little hand gesture. She helps Sora realize that, not too surprisingly, Batman was lonely without their Robin. Of course, Ageha told her to just go admit that to Mashiro, but along with that little bit of ego we saw in the recap, we also got to see a little bit of shyness out of Sora. Which, you know, those two things actually kind of go hand in hand. Of course, someone who acts like a proud hero all the time is going to have a little excess pride that'll prevent them from admitting to any sort of weakness. However, I guess we did need a little reminder that Shugo wrote for Tropical Rouge, plus I guess they do need to sell this junk, so Ageha gave her a little courage with some makeup. Guess it makes more sense that Sora quoted Monatsu earlier. Now, obviously, I would have preferred if this conflict was more resolved by Sora's own willpower, but you know, whatever. At least it provided an effective placebo effect. Could someone tell those ships to quiet down? Though before anything else, Sora, being Sora, had to help an old lady cross a bridge and stop Josuke and Vegeta from fighting. Okay, pretty superfluous scenes, but I won't complain too much about a character properly living up to their gimmick. And on that note, a certain pig general tried to find a new gimmick after fasting didn't work out so well last week. Yeah, while I predicted that Kabuto would be out of action after such an intense fight, I will admit I'm glad he's still around as he is a fun villain. But yeah, as we said, he realized that even in large quantities, Oden was relatively healthy, so he traded up.
今回はめいちゃん高カロリーをテイクアウトで
Well, I see someone's taking the lessons from last season to heart. And yet, I guess because he liked the urgency that Nightmare Moon gave him, he just created a standard Romborg out of his construction helmet. This led to a not too great fight with the Cures briefly struggling with the helmet's sturdiness, and then a dust attack, only to break out their finisher to end it rather abruptly. Yeah, I guess the show is taking even some of the lesser elements out of the OG too. Really, the only notable part of this fight were some of the slight changes done to their transformations, likely to accommodate a proper group transformation later. As for now, it was mostly just Sora doing all the talking during these simultaneous sequences. Though, at the very least, this jump sequence was pretty cute, and the two struck different poses for their roll call instead of all doing the same thing. Later, Sora, thanks to the power of makeup, yeah, still not crazy about this stuff, finally said that she wanted to spend more time with Mashiro, who shared the same feelings. And with that, the episode ended with Yo-Yo, of course revealing that her earlier calls were to let Sora attend the same school as Mashiro. And as for the cameo cure this week, we got Sora.
Okay.
I mean, yeah, I guess it is hard to bring in those VAs on such short notice, but you know, it would have been nice if you had just done all of the Reiwa lead cures, especially considering this week was a certain someone's birthday, but oh well. Still, a pretty nice episode, where we got to see more sides to our lead cure. I mean, while Sora has been a fairly well fleshed out character so far, it is nice to actually see her have some faults that prevent her from properly interacting with others. And there's certainly not out of character moments, considering how even now she's trying to act like a faultless hero. And if some of my theories about the writers of this season are correct, then this whole bit of her overcoming her faults might become an ongoing theme of the show. While we have been kind of going on and on about the show's visual storytelling, I don't think some of the strong character writing here should be underplayed either. Little things like Sora following Mashiro all the way to her school and rushing back home to see her really highlight how much she's like a dog waiting for her master. And even more like a dog, she was stubborn in admitting that anything was wrong. This makes all the sense considering how, even after accepting Mashiro as her partner, she still wants to maintain the facade of a self-reliant hero, if only to quell some of the fears that she likely still holds on to every time she goes into action. But with a little push from Ageha and some product placement, she was able to realize there's nothing wrong with showing a little bit of vulnerability. Hopefully, this won't be the last time we see our lead here dealing with this sort of conflict between her heroic ideals and personal needs, especially considering who wrote this episode. So yeah, in between this and Tropical Rouge, I was a little surprised to learn that Konomi Shugo had actually written for another one of my favorites, Iruma-kun, including some of the best episodes of the recent third season. This is relevant, as not only is a character voiced by the titular lead going to be joining the cast soon, but so far, the secondary writers of this show have all written for Iruma, including next week's writer. And personally, I think this can only benefit this season, as that show had some very strong character writing for both the boys and girls, which again, considering who's joining the team soon, really works out very nicely. Now, of course, I can't confirm whether or not this is Toei's intentions, but I think it's an interesting thought. And regardless, it still will likely lead to some very solid writing like this that maintains some good continuity and character development. It is a pity that they can't maintain the good fights every week, but as is the rule around here, as long as the main story is good, a rushed fight can be forgiven. Thus, overall, this was another solid episode that hopefully will be a sign of things to come. Here's hoping to see more growth out of Sora, and less of her hogging the ending spot. Work is still ongoing with the second part of the Futai review, which, as we said, should be out hopefully at the end of the month or so. From there, we might just do a few more fun projects, like maybe some manga reviews or something. At least something worth a few more laughs than my usual cheap gags. So look forward to it, and until then though, farewell for now my friends, and if you'll excuse me, I think I'm gonna do a little cleaning of my own. There, done.